Good evening, this is Kuro. Got a tier 10 game in my tier 8 Kiev. Going over the matchmaking, we have an enemy Des Moines, Seattle, Alaska rounding out the radar threats. Destroyer wise, it's actually kind of nasty. Gearing, Hargumo, Tashkent, Akazuki. There's a lot of nasty things that you wouldn't want to run into at close range in the Kiev. So, Kiev, you're going to see me switch between play styles over the course of the game. The initial portion of the game, I have a friendly Yagumo, and I'm basically going to, I call it riding shotgun, where I am just basically going to escort this Yagumo and whatever he goes to spot. I'm basically going to try to wreck. Now, one of the issues that I have with how this Yagumo's pushing, look how fast he's going right for cap. But take a look at our team. They're still going at a pretty good clip, and they're more than a grid square behind us. And that's going to mean that by the time they take shots out here, you're talking, 13, 14 kilometer shots at a DD. That's very marginal. It's on the fringe. You're on, the extreme range where only really good players are going to be able to land shots on destroyers out at that range, and that would be on unskilled destroyers. For example, if you went to shoot me at 14 kilometers in just about any destroyer, even with things like Moskva, Stalingrad, it gets sketchy trying to consistently hit me at those ranges. The shell flight times are just too long and destroyers are just too small. So coming up here, I'm gonna pause this for a second. See, I want you to take a look at my concealment circle. This 8.7 dashed line circle here, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remain undetected. I'm trying to keep this island in between me and a DD that would push up here, so I won't be detected there, and then keep my circle just with a sliver of the cap where an enemy destroyer is basically able to push in there, get detected, and not detect me, so I will be able to shoot from concealment. The Yagumo picks up the gearing, and I'm right on him. And what I'm also trying to do is, we saw the Alaska. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep this island and this island between me and the enemy team. Usually what happens, the enemy team spawns here, they come up into this vicinity, and then they start pushing down this island chain. Now, if I stay behind these islands, there's very few things that can actually shoot me with beyond, this DD here. Now, I do actually make a mistake here. It cost me a little bit more HP than I'd like. I was focused on trying to get good damage here. Akazuki pops up, and I just plowed into this island. It happens. I smoke up, and he gets a couple really good shots in on me, and just like that, I've lost a quarter of my health. Thankfully, the Yagumo comes over this way, and the Alaska radar runs out. And I go on ahead, and I'm just trying to equalize that trade a little bit on this Akazuki. The thing is with Akazuki, Hargumo, Kitakaze, they're really nasty for a Kiev and other Russian destroyers to deal with under 8 kilometers. But outside of that, even though you've got slower DPM, your guns will land more shots, and you're going to see that throughout the rest of this game. I'm just going to try to pick fights when this Akazuki pops up, I was looking to see if I could get a reset on the gearing, but he's not rendering, so nothing I can really do. Besides, we really punished that gearing right out of the gate. Unfortunately, we lose our Yagumo, and you're going to see me rotate right into a different type of play style. Okay, DD popped up. Let's punish that DD. DDs are always your priority target in Russian destroyers. It's your job to bully them bastards. And you're going to see what I'm talking about with, you know, the trading out here. You see how long it takes his shells to get there. And, you know, in the meantime, my shells have like a 15-20% faster travel time out there. And, you know, in just a couple volleys, I'm able to more than equal the trade that we had earlier. I do see this Massachusetts pushing up. It looked to me like he doesn't have camo, so I'm thinking I'm totally profiling this guy. No camo, premium battleship. Yeah, it's on. And I'm just gonna take my time. I'm gonna wait for it. Gonna launch one a little early just in case he starts to turn out. And then I'm gonna put one right on it, and then I'm just gonna kite away. You can see the Akazuki shooting in the background. Can really see, you know, those shell arcs compared to mine. And I'm just gonna kite back. And I'm gonna give it some time. I want this Massachusetts thinking he's safe. And then once I get, you know, far enough out where he may think he's beyond torp range, I'm gonna go ahead and open up fire on this Alaska. Land one torp hit with the flooding. Got the next set of torps coming in. Land another one out of there. And I'm just waiting for this guy to pop up. Soon as he pops up, I go on ahead, I just pop smoke. I'm looking to farm this guy and finish him. His repair is on cooldown. This guy is, you know, pretty much a plate full of grits. And if you're, for whatever reason, I am having really horrid dispersion. Like, that shot for a destroyer, that shot all over straddling a tier 8 battleship under 8 kilometers. And the dispersion bug is kicking my ass this game. And, you know, I finally get frustrated, and I just relock on, and you'll start to see better dispersion. You see, we're under 7 kilometers, and I mean, look at that. That's fucking trash, Wargaming. Fix your shit. It's been like that for fucking ages, and it's goddamn retarded. You know, people shouldn't have to constantly fiddle fuck with their, you know, with the game to try to get accurate shots. You saw me relock and then shoot, and then look at that. Everything right into the bow of his ship. And that should tell you right there, you know, the level of bugs we have in the game. Just today, I have had fires not rendering on ships. How the hell am I supposed to stack multiple fires on a ship when I can't see what's on fire to hit? And you know, these types of things are massive problems for ships like Kiev, because if you can't see what's on fire, you're throwing HE away. So I would actually say right now that if you've got targets that are broadside, I would definitely be using more AP than HE, because if you're relying on that fire damage, you may not know if they're on fire or not. Well, if they're on fire, they'll be ticking, but you won't be able to tell where they're on fire in certain instances. So, right here, just gonna pause this, because this is how you cap with the Russians. Okay. We just drove the enemy DD off. He's low HP. You know, I have a window of opportunity here. You look at the Alaska, I've got island cover that I can sit behind. You know, This is kind of an open cap right here. So I'm actually going to step on the cap here. And it looks like the Akazuki's coming back, and that pretty much means that I'm not going to be able to cap this. But it basically seals the deal on this enemy Akazuki. The Alaska pushes out here, and again, you see that shot? That actually is Kiev accuracy right there. 8 kilometers, all of those hits on a DD. And that should tell you how bad my dispersion was back then. Back shooting that Massachusetts. Alaska gets a pretty good hit on me. Not even going to worry about the cap. It's more important to play to push these guys out. Pressure them away from the cap. And either myself or the team can come right back and take care of it. Just dodging that last shot before the Alaska ducks in behind the island. Now, got a window of opportunity here. What do I want to get done left in the game? Okay, I can push through here, cap A. By the time I cap A, these guys are going to be probably at the point of this island, and it's going to be hard for me to catch up and deal any sort of additional damage. I've got a Tirpitz here. He can easily cap this point. Yes, we're down on points, but the enemy is drastically down on ships. So I see no need in me to stop my progress, chasing these ships down to harass them to pick up this cap. So I am just going to focus on chasing these ships down. I'm going to basically push up here because there is a Tashkent left in this. I'm looking, he's way out there. I'm going to push up here and just pass through this island. I just want to be close to this Shima in case, somebody actually is able to push up in here. I might be able to help. Wasn't sure if these guys were going to try to push the channel. Honestly, I probably would have. I mean, they're 2 radar cruisers. That move would be fairly strong. And right there, I'm taking a look, just seeing what's left on the enemy team. Trying to maintain situational awareness, because I mean, destroyer vision, I can't see what's really going on out here on the other end of the map. All I can see is just, the ship names with their last known locations, but just want to check in and see what's left. Just gonna play it safe. I don't want to get trapped in behind this island, so gonna take the last few seconds and a couple extra seconds, come around this island, and then just start harassing in here. And I mean, this game's pretty much winding down, and you can see, as I transitioned, my game went from, harassing or escorting a destroyer to more of a harassment role, pressuring the enemy team away from the cap, so eventually myself or my team could cap. Again, take a look at that dispersion there, compare that to the dispersion I had earlier on the Massachusetts, and you can see just how bad that dispersion bug is in the game. And again, if you don't know how to fix it, unlock your reticle on this ship and relock it. So I believe in the standard game client, to lock and unlock on a target is X. So, press X to unlock the target right here. That's showing that I'm locked on. If I'm not locked on, there wouldn't be that crosshair on the ship. And I mean, you can see it. That guy is actually on fire, and you can't see those fires render right there. And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes the fire renders, sometimes it's not right now. And it's, for HE spammers, it's a really big problem because it cuts into so much of your damage. If you're not able to tell where you need to hit a ship, it's just ugly. You get a couple decent licks in on that Tashkent. That gearing damage and the Tashkent damage adds really solid XP for me. Wargaming did something right, and they actually buffed the rewards you get for being low tier and doing damage to high tier targets. So it's one of those things. Playing a tier 8 ship in a tier 10 match, you know, you might be frustrated because you're bottom tier, but any sort of damage you do to those higher tier ships, you really get compensated extremely well. This game's getting ready to end right here. Last shot's coming in. So, relatively, this is a decent game. It's not a barn burner damage-wise, and a lot of that is, you know, I think that there was issues, number one, with the dispersion right during prime time of, you know, getting some ships like that Massachusetts. I really should have been able to hammer that guy with fires, and my dispersion was just all over the place. And not only that, but you know, you had fires rendering. If his bow was on fire and it wasn't rendering, I I wasted basically all of those shots at his bow because my shells aren't going to pin his aren't going to pin his bow, and I end up with, you know, a big goose egg for all those shots, you know, into his bow. I'd be better off just derping shots into his superstructure, even if it's saturated, just getting a little bit of damage with those shells. Um, but you know, this game is what it is. I just wanted to get a decent Kiev game out. It's one of those things. Usually, when I hear people saying they're struggling with ships like a Kiev, the Russian destroyers, um, the problems are usually one of two things. Uh, First, and most commonly, they're playing way too aggressive. Uh, you'll notice I really didn't push into the cap that often. It was more about generating pressure on the enemy team and pressuring the enemy team away from the cap and providing that window of opening where I can fit my concealment circle in the cap and I can just step on the cap and see if I can cap it. In this case, their destroyer pushed back in it and pushed me out. They had an Alaska for backup, and I basically just had to, you know, step back off the cap and just keep working at it. And that's how you handle capping in a Russian destroyer. It's all about generating pressure on the enemy team, forcing them back, and then just coming in when, and I mean the cap should just fall in your hands. You really shouldn't, when you're capping, you really shouldn't be losing any HP if you're doing it correctly. Just because the enemy at this point um, is completely unable to prevent your cap. That's to the level that you want to just beat them into submission. So all in all, XP wise, you know, low tier 1900 base XP. It is a decent game. Most of this I think is the destroyer damage I had. I had a couple good shots into the key, into the gearing, into the Tashkent. Um, all of that adds up. I mean, 11k on this Tashkent over the course of the game, couple volleys into the gearing, 7k. All of that adds up, especially these two, uh, into just, you know, really solid XP. Um, Taking a look at the base defenses. You always should have a lot of base defense ribbons in the Russian DDs because you're always wanting to be in a position where you can use your guns to cover the caps. And enemy DDs step on the caps, you want to be able to punish them when they get radared, when they get, detected by your destroyers. Um, and it is that sort of you're basically using the caps as bait, really. You're just hunting over bait. Lure them in and just be able to punish them, be able to do like I did, use terrain to limit the amount of people that can shoot at you. So you can try to pick, a 1v1, or ideally have two or three of your friendly ships able to shoot this one enemy destroyer, and nobody really can shoot you to try to equalize that trade on that uh, that's happening to that enemy destroyer. So I hope you guys enjoyed the game. This game, I really like this game because it kind of fluctuated between play styles, between, playing the destroyer escort to, kind of the flanking harasser that you typically see people do with the Russian destroyers. And there was a lot of stuff going on around the caps when I could try to cap, and then when I felt I had to pull back. So I really think that this one has a lot of good things that people wanting to learn how to play these Russian boats, it will help them. So again, hope you guys are having a good night. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys later.